Hello, and welcome to another episode of Stay Paid, where today we're going to be kind of just doing a nice riff on Luke's experience. He went to the 10X Growth Con in Las Vegas.
10X, baby, 10X.
Grant Cardone, so it was
you guys can tell him,
monumentous occasion. He came back super hype, a little too hype. It was Monday morning. I hadn't had the necessary amount of coffee when he walked into the room, so I was taken off guard. But when I saw the energy that he was exuding, I knew that we had to do a special podcast and talk about everything he learned while he was out there.
Yeah, so 10X Growth Con is Grant Cardone's baby. I don't know if the people listening to this, I mean, how can you not know Grant Cardone? The man is everywhere.
I feel like they know of him at least.
He told us he spends $1 million a month on marketing. That's what he is spending to get his brand out there. And then they talk just tangential point, but they talked about one of the bigger mistakes that they thought they made was that they did not spend enough on marketing sooner. And we've made that same mistake here at ReminderMedia, is that we haven't spent enough on marketing. Sales isn't everything. It's the only thing. But you got to, in order to get a sale, what Grant Cardone even talked about at the conference, you got to get attention.
Yep.
And if you don't get people's attention, then you have nobody to sell to. And so marketing is the idea of getting attention. And so I don't know how you guys want to go through this and what I learned. I have so many notes in front of me of all the, I guess you maybe call them principles, life lessons, business ideas, business tips that I want to shout to you guys and give to you, because I think it's going to really help grow ReminderMedia, and I hope it translates to helping grow your business. But just to give you an idea of what 10X Growth Con is Grant Cardone is a national recognized, probably #1 sales trainer in the world. He speaks at conferences all over the world. He has a Grant Cardone, like Cardone University, to train you up on sales. And this is not a pitch for Grant Cardone. I make no money off of Grant Cardone. But the point I want to preface it for you guys, that he speaks at conferences.
If you're listening, we're not opposed to that.
Yeah, Grant Cardone would be like, why the heck are you not making money? Get it together.
He would be, honestly. But he speaks at conferences, much like Gary Vee, but he doesn't host his own conference.
Okay.
And so this was the 10X Growth Con 2. So he had hosted one before, and I think, and I could be wrong, but I think he had 5,000 people.
So this was only the second one?
This is only the second one.
Wow.
He had 5,000 people, or just under 5,000 people, show up to his first one. And I didn't go to his first one, but I remember him marketing the crap out of the first one. I mean, I just saw it everywhere. Now it came up to do this one. He had just under 10,000 people at this conference. And to give you guys, just a little perspective, like Keller Williams, that has 140,000 agents, just did their conference, and they only had 12,000, I think, agents show up.
Yeah.
So Grant Cardone, a guy that doesn't have a whole company of 140,000 people, had 10,000 people show up. And that's the first thing I learned from 10X Growth Con. That wasn't someone speaking about it at the conference. It was just literally the hustle that he put into getting people to show up to this conference was unreal. Every time I turned on my computer, every time I picked up my phone, it was 10X Growth Con, some type of advertisement that I'm seeing, whether it's pay-per-click and the ads are following me and all that good stuff. And
well, the point that you made also, he has 604,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
And he made
640,000.
He made the point specifically to say no one was coming to him to try and buy tickets.
Yep.
No one was walking up to him or knocking on his door
We're all
saying, I need to buy
fans
tickets.
too.
And he has this many followers, and he's still going after it that much to bring eyeballs to his event, what he's trying to get people to sign up for.
It made me think of, like, every time, you don't want to be shamelessly, I guess, pitching your product all the time. Like, you want to bring value. But what he did was every blog post he wrote, he closed out the blog post with the way of tying it into, and by the way, if you want to grow your business, if you want to 10X your business, go to 10X Growth Con. Like, everything tied back, every live video he did, everything felt like it was just relentless in pushing the 10X Growth Con. And we were talking about this right before we came on the podcast, was the acronym CAR.
Yeah.
Where it's like curiosity, right? That you have, then you have annoyance, then you have resentment, then you have respect. I was curious about 10X Growth Con. I got annoyed by all the ads that I saw. I almost freaking resented it because I saw it all the time, and then I ended up respecting it, bought a ticket. My ticket was $1,500. I bought 4 tickets. They were $1,500 a ticket, and it was worth every bit.
But he made all that
ticket
back on the
This is like a big
table.
advertisement for Grant Cardone's 10X
right?
Growth Con. So let's get into, some of the, I guess, principles that stood out to me. There was tons and tons of speakers. It was jam-packed. There was Lewis Howes there, Ed Milet, Tim Grover, Grant Cardone, of course, was speaking. I mean, so many good speakers that are experts in their field that have built $100 million companies, billion-dollar companies, sharing what they've learned. The first thing that stood out to me in the conference, and this is something that Grant Cardone shared, but it was a consistent theme with everybody in the conference, is that the main reason businesses fail, the main reason you're going to fail today if you're listening to this podcast, is because you come up with an idea. In the time that you put in between coming up with that idea and the execution of that idea, really the selling of that idea, getting someone to purchase what you came up with, is what kills every business. They put so much time between the idea and the execution that they end up dying, they end up failing. Because the point they were making was that how many of us come up with even a marketing campaign idea and we go, well, we need the perfect script or we need the perfect ad created. I'm not happy with that tagline. Let's try this. And we just even think about our Stay Paid podcast experience. How many times, Sefton, did we do this Stay Paid podcast?
Quite a few.
He's being nice, but we literally probably did 5-6 episodes and then went back to the drawing board. We were falling into the same trap that your idea is never going to be perfect. But what will kill you is the lack of execution. And so it just kind of resonated with me that if I have an idea, then I need to move as fast as I can to the selling of that idea and to getting to people to purchase that idea. Because think of the founding of this company. Did you guys have a magazine, Josh, when you founded the company?
Nope.
I mean, how many people? 200 people you guys signed up without even a magazine?
212.
No product.
Yeah, 212. No
Sell
product.
it before you have it.
They literally, Josh and Steve literally printed a cover, I guess, and wrapped it around like a Better Homes and Garden or something like that?
Yeah, it was a Buick. Buick was producing a magazine at the time.
Okay.
Buick Luxury or something like that. We just wrapped it around that.
So you had the idea. You didn't have the product. You didn't know where you're going to get the articles from. You didn't know, maybe you knew how to print it. I don't know. But you didn't know necessarily all the details, contracts. I mean, I remember Steve, who founded the company, guys, here at ReminderMedia. He looked at Josh at one point because here's, I guess, how the story has been told to me. They were selling these people on board, and the people asked them some type of question about how do I get my picture? And Steve just goes, "Oh, we're going to take your picture for you.
We're going to come out to your office and take those photos for you."
And so, I mean,
and then he turned around to me and said, "Hey, Josh, you got to figure out how to go to these people's offices and take these photos."
I mean, think about that valuable lesson. We'll probably, we're over 35 million. We're, hoping to grow into the 40s this year. A 35 million, soon to be 40 plus million, hopefully 100 million. We're going to 10x this thing even more. But that company started without the product, and as the problems came up, solved them on the fly. So there's your first takeaway. You have an idea for a marketing campaign, for a business, for something that can generate revenue for you. You don't have to have everything solved. You don't have to have the products even almost all the way created, the contracts figured out. You can just take action. And that leads me to another point that came up, which is that the difference between 99% committed and 100% is the difference between success and failure. Right. That 1% is, and you guys have heard me say this before, it's that if you're not all the way committed, and they kept using the theme, entrepreneurs burn the ships. So we all know Cortez.
Yep.
He burns the ships so they can't go back. So entrepreneurs burn the ship. So you have the idea, right? And you got to get to the execution. Just go and burn the ships behind you, because when it comes up that you need a contract, guess what you'll do, Sefton?
Get a contract.
Yeah, you're going to create that contract because you get the money. The money's going to come in and you realize this is what I have to do to get it done. And you should always be expanding, not contracting. You should always be moving forward. That's why you want to burn the ship behind you, because you should always be moving forward in your business. And really, this guy Naveen, and I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong, but Naveen Jain, I think or Jan, or however you pronounce it. He built a $35 billion business. He actually worked for Bill Gates at the beginning of Microsoft. And he spoke, and here's a $35 billion guy that is now trying to solve the problem of healthcare. And he said, you don't have to be the smartest in the room. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to have the most brilliant idea. It was purely, You just have to execute. You just have to just be 100% committed. And he said, burn the bridge is the term he used.
Right.
And you just burn the bridge behind you.
Well,
everything else will
becomes
solve.
the easy option if you have that ability to retreat.
Yep.
This is the idea that if you have that idea and you're putting it forward, and you're taking action on it, there is no other option. It leaves you. I mean, that is motivation right there.
Yeah.
You don't have the ability to go backwards.
Yep.
It just continues to push you
It's
forward.
why big corporate companies fail. Is because they get satisfied, they get in sustained
You have
mode.
something to lose.
Yep.
Right? When you have something to lose like that, it's harder to take those risks. Don't let that hold you back, because the more risks that we see that we take in our business, and the more risks that we see our clients taking and then having success with that, is just encouragement to keep pushing that forward and doing the thing that may seem crazy to others, but that you know in your gut is right.
Yeah. It leads me to the next thing, which is sales solves all. Grant Cardone said a great quote, which it was like, sales makes your dreams a reality. And the point he's trying to make here is that it's an income thing. It's a revenue thing, right? It's, he had everybody in the audience raise their hand. Who's in debt, right? Who has, I think he used like $15,000 or something like that of debt, and tons of people in the audience raised their hand, right? I mean, we all have mortgage debts and then car loans and stuff like that.
Student loans.
And he goes, how many of you guys think that's a problem, right? Yeah, student loans.
Yeah, that's a big
How many people think that's a problem? The debt's a problem. And everybody's like, yeah, it's a problem, raising their hand. It's like, that's not the problem. It's like, I'm like 500 million in debt, because this guy's, has a portfolio of like 5,000 units. I don't know.
It's
more
good
than
debt
that.
to have, but it's debt
But he
nonetheless.
goes, your problem is your ability to produce income. Your problem is your ability to produce sales. Sales solves all. If you have debt, it doesn't matter. If you have income, that's the thing. He said you should be focused on revenue generating activities. Your ability to produce income is what will separate you in your business. Sales solves all. That's what Mark Cuban says, that, literally sales will solve all problems. We're experiencing some problems in our infrastructure right now to where we're not doing things as well as we should be. And I'm constantly looking at the purchase orders that come in, looking at the money that I'm having to spend.
Right.
And I'm starting to contract, right? I'm not expanding anymore. I'm in a contraction mode. I'm in like, we need to save this $20,000. We don't want to spend this $20,000, because I'm not focused on the right thing. If I'm focused on generating income, then okay, I don't want to spend an extra $20,000, but guess what? I can.
Right.
And that's true freedom in my life.
Well, and that's sitting down and looking at your day and saying, what are the most dollar productive activities that I can be doing today? And really assessing it from a calendar management standpoint. It's impossible to manage time. Time is going to happen. It happened before us. It's going to happen after us, but it is possible to manage your priorities and your activities within each and every day.
That's a great point.
And if you're sitting down the night before, the morning of, however you can find that time in your day of quiet that you can reflect on that and run that through. I know here at our business, we're running things through, like we have our quarterly actions and our goals for the quarter, for the second quarter of the year, for the third quarter. And we're actually, every project that we now assess and prioritize, we're running it through the lens of, is this impacting one of these pillars that we're working on?
Right.
Because we know and we've decided that those are going to be the most dollar productive things for us. So it's the exact same thing with your own calendar as you're sitting down and looking through that each and every day. Run it through that filter of, is this hitting my mission? Is this getting me to where I want to get to? I know Steve, on our live video while you guys were in Las Vegas, he even said, he goes, take a look at where you are today. Take a look at who you want to get to at the end of your journey. And is what you're doing tomorrow getting you closer to that person? And that's really what it's all about. If that's your goal at the end of it, your goal is to build your business, make more money, live this life of freedom, then you have to take each and every day in that disciplined approach.
Yeah, Ed Milet, who is the chairman of WFG, which is a huge organization, said, what drives him in his life, and this is what I was sharing yesterday with you, Sefton, is what drives him in his life is to become the best version of himself. Mm-hmm. And he said, I'm a man of faith and everything. So he goes, when I get to where I'm going, I'm hoping when I meet that person who was my greatest potential, and he goes, where they go, Ed, this is who you could have been. He said, I'm hoping to be that person's twin. He said, it was pretty funny. He goes, that is what drives me every day. And what's powerful about that, and what you're saying is, what's powerful about that is that money can only motivate you so much. Trophies like Inc. 5000, best places to work, we've won them. They only motivate you so much. Becoming the best version of yourself and living that life of freedom, that is true motivation that literally enables you to do anything and everything, which leads me to another point, which this is what Tim Grover said. Now, Tim Grover is a guy who coached Michael Jordan, was like his one-on-one coach, his personal coach, winning those championship games. And Tim Grover said the statement, "The road to paradise begins in hell." I mean, think about that for a second.
Sink in,
yeah,
yes.
The road to paradise begins in hell. And what's so great, and I wrote this down, everything great in this life is going to take hard work. There is not a magic formula that's going to take hard work. You must do what others won't to live like others can't.
Right.
And there's no substitute for hard work. It will be hard. It will be painful. It will take time. It might even feel like hell. It literally might feel like hell. The revenue producing activities tend to often feel like hell. The hardest thing to do in your day tends to be the thing you need to do to produce the most revenue for your business. Think about the phone calls, guys. Think about the cold calling, the door knocking, the sitting down. Yeah, the door knocking, the door slamming in your face. That could feel like hell. That's the most productive thing you can be doing. And if you keep going and you're persistent and you're consistent, that is what will produce success. Lewis Howe said, Lewis Howe is like one of the fastest growing podcasters, fastest growing social influencers. I can't even remember what his podcast is called, something about interviewing the great people of this world. Okay. But it's an unbelievable podcast. And what he said is he doesn't really know what he did, but he knows this. He kept it simple and he executed over and over and over and over and over again. That's what he said. He executed and he kept going over and over, and to get the point across to the audience that it wasn't anything amazing. It wasn't anything super strategic and intellectual. It was simple, and he executed over and over
Persistence.
again.
Yeah, the school of greatness. If
That's
you want
what
to check
it is.
that
The School of
podcast
Greatness.
out, yeah.
It's a great podcast, so check it out. He's smart, guys. I posted a story on him, and guess what he did? He liked, and I bet he just made, at first I thought it was just me, and I was like, oh my goodness, Lewis House actually responded to me. So I'll pull it up on my Instagram here, not that you guys can see it, but see, I mentioned him in my story. He hearted it later, and I said, thanks, loved your talk, keep up the great work, we appreciate it. And then he hearted that. And so he has somebody he's paying, I'm sure, to just go through and heart everybody, but it had an impact. Yeah. So I was thinking about that on my own Instagram, my own social media, that I should be liking and hearting everybody who ever mentions anything about us.
And it also links back to, what we talk about all the time in Preach is that's a relationship, right? He's seeing that this is someone, he's looking at that comment, or he has someone that's managing those comments and saying, okay, this person's interacting with what I'm saying, and really helping to strengthen the relationship that you have, even though you don't know each other. And that's the same thing that we have to do with all of our clients. And sometimes that is the hard thing to do. Sometimes that is the last thing that you think of that may be a dollar producing activity, but strengthening those relationships with your clients on a daily basis so that you're building that tribe.
It made me feel like Lewis House actually saw my story.
Right. Yep.
Well, it's about the persistence, and it's about doing something over and over and over again. If you do something constantly, even if you fail, it's almost inevitable that you're going to get good at it.
Right.
But most people just stop.
Well, and speaking about failure, this might be old news by the time this comes out on Monday. We're recording this Thursday morning, but Amazon just purchased Ring, which was
the Shark Tank thing.
Was a Shark Tank failure. It went on Shark Tank in 2013 as Doorbot. And this guy got turned down. They didn't see the vision, and he continued pushing forward. And they just sold. It's reportedly, I'm sure the numbers might come out by Monday, but it's reportedly $1 billion acquisition by Amazon. That is just grinding.
I think they wanted, what was it, 10% for 700,000 or something like that? I believe on Shark Tank it was 10%.
10% for 700.
Yeah, it was 10%. They would have made a killing off of it. It just shows you. I always have this philosophy in life that if you just keep going, you'll make it to the top of the mountain. You might look back and go, wow, there really was a faster way to get up this mountain, but it's better. You're still on the top. Exactly. You're still on the top. So that's the point. It's like you might look back and go, there definitely was a faster way. You probably will. You probably will.
Hindsight is 20/20.
Always a faster way.
Still on the top.
I want to get to this point because I know we've been already going for a while here, but I want to get to this point because this really impacted me a ton. It was every great business is evangelical about their mission, and their leader should be the chief evangelist. So often we think about our business in terms of the products we sell. We think about them in terms of the service we offer, and we don't think of them in an evangelical state of mind, in a state of mind where we're trying to change the world, where we're trying to change people's lives, where 10X for Grant Cardone, which started out as just kind of a hashtag and something he would say to, you need to 10X your business, has literally become a movement. I joked and said it was like the Church of Grant Cardone at this conference. I mean, it was kind of creepy a little bit, but the point being is he's created this into a movement. Why? Because he's the chief evangelist. He's the chief evangelist of helping people 10X their life, whether it's in their marriage, in their relationships, in their business. He wants to be known for that. And it started for him in business, but let that sink in with you in your business right now. Are you the chief evangelist? Do you have an evangelical message, or are you just selling houses? Right? Are you just selling insurance policies to somebody, investing someone's money? Or do you actually have some message that you're bringing to the table, which is you want people to live the life of their dreams, and you help them do that by fulfilling the, dream they have of purchasing the home, whatever it is that you come up with. What is your message, and are you the chief evangelist of that message? I mean, that's so
Yeah, I mean, it goes back
powerful.
to your why. I mean, it's really focusing on why you're doing this in the first place, and then how do you then translate that in a way that's going to resonate with the people that you're trying to do business with, making them really kind of the hero of this story and how they can find their way into your story, and then that's how you then begin to build that tribe.
So there was another one, Elena Cardone, which is Grant Cardone's wife, spoke, and one of the things that she said that really stood out to me was, with every action, you are either building an empire or you're destroying one. There's no in between. I mean, that's so true. It's so powerful. A little corny maybe, but with every action you do today, if you're listening to this right now, you're taking an action. You're doing something right now. Everything
if
you
you're
do,
listening to this, you're building your
you're building your.
Right?
That's right. I like
Let's
that.
just be clear about that right now.
Nice plug, yes.
For everybody listening to this, that empire is growing.
StayPaidPodcast.com. But the point is, everything you do is either building, you're either growing, you're dying, right? You're building an empire or destroying an empire. And a lot of times that destroying is your own empire, your own success, your own career trajectory. I always say, think about your actions and be intentional in what you are doing. Being intentional is something we lack so much we just go with the flow. We're not intentional. We're not thinking exactly why we're doing something and what the results are going to come out of it. We're not intentional. And so that's just a powerful statement. And I'll close, I guess, with this last one that I think is the theme of Reminder Media in our content lately. You listen to every Above the Noise that we do. If you guys don't know, we do a coaching type video on YouTube. So if you go to youtube.com/ReminderMedia, you'll see our coaching video series Above the Noise. And every Above the Noise, we end with the same type of statement, which is the most important thing is to take action today on something that you learned in this video. Because we usually give you 2 to 3, 4 bullet points of something you can apply to your business, something in marketing, something in sales. But we close and we say, take action today. Well, Grant Cardone, he got up there on stage at one point and he talked and said, look, anybody read Think and Grow Rich? And everybody's like, yeah, I've read it. It's a great book. I've read it. I love this book. But he said, look, there's enough thinking going on. We need to stop thinking. He's like, it's not about the law of attraction. He's like, I'm all into, you got to be positive. You got to think these things. He's like, I'm not bashing it, but come on. It's not about thinking. It's not about the law of attraction. It's about the law of action. And so in your business today, the ideas are cheap. And it gets back to the theme, right? Idea, execution of the idea. The time you put in between is the problem. And so you need to be looking in your business today and going, how many ideas do you have right now where it's the law of attraction for you and not the law of action? Do you want a bigger Facebook audience? Okay, if you do, are you taking the necessary steps? Are you actually doing what Lewis Howes is doing, which is liking everybody who mentions him, commenting, following the hashtags, engaging in the conversation? That is the law of action. The law of attraction is just thinking there that I want a big audience on Facebook or Instagram or these things. And so, meaning that is probably the most tangible thing that stuck out to me in my own life of going, if I want to take it to the next level, I can't just think it, I got to do it.
Powerful.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's very clear that Luke's fired up still a week later after the 10X Growth Con. If you like Stay Paid, please subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to give us a 5-star review and a positive comment. Check out Reminder Media on every single social media channel that exists because we're on there. And as always, my name is Sefton Eisenhart.
I'm Josh Stike.
And I'm Luke Acree, and I'm going to close with this. I gave you guys a bunch of principles today that I learned and took away from the 10X Growth Con. Apply some idea that you have in your business, whether it's a marketing campaign that you've come up with, or maybe it's actually the idea of getting on social media and growing your following. Take action on that idea this week. Don't think about all the details that are going to have to take place for you to accomplish it. Just dive in. You will figure it out. Burn the bridges, burn the ships, as they say, and just dive in and take action on that. Then go to staypaidpodcast.com. Let us know the idea that you took action on, and let us know what you actually experienced by just diving in, even though you didn't have all the answers, and what ended up happening for you. So guys, the difference between a top producer and a mediocre agent is a top producer takes action. Take action today.